Hi, I'm Abalare. In today's episode, we want to look at the concept of elasticity of demand, which is one of the calculative aspects of demand as a topic. And mind you, in our previous video, we've talked about demand function, which is also one of the calculative aspects of demand. But today, we are going to be focusing on the concept of elasticity of demand. So without much ado, let's uh, get started. Elasticity. The concept of elasticity of demand explains that the demand for a commodity can expand or contract depending on the change in any of the factors or determinants that affect demand. Now let's play with a bangle here. Don't forget, demand as a word means unit of a commodity a consumer is willing and able to buy at various prices in per period of time. Now, with respect to that unit, let's take it as this bangle here. This is a bangle. This bangle is elastic, meaning that it can expand or contract. It can expand or contract. So the same concept or the same thing we are going to be playing with here. Demand is elastic, meaning that it can expand or contract. And when we say elasticity of demand, we mean how demand reacts, how demand responds to the change in any of the factors that affect demand, be it price of other commodities, be it income of the consumer, be it taste preference and habit of the consumer and all that. So the concept of elasticity of demand explains how demand responds, how demand reacts. It explains the responsiveness of demand to change in any of the factors that affect demand. So in today's episode, we are going to be looking at three of these types of elasticity of demand. That's price, income, and cross. But majorly, we'll be focusing on price elasticity of demand. So when demand reacts due to change in the price of the commodity, then we call that price elasticity of demand. So price elasticity of demand measures the responsiveness of demand due to change in the price of the commodity. And you all know when the price of a commodity rises, the demand for that commodity falls. And when the price of a commodity falls, the demand for that commodity rises, ceteris paribus. So price elasticity of demand measures the degree of responsiveness of demand due to change in the price of the commodity. Income elasticity of demand measures the responsiveness of demand due to change in the level of income of the consumer. That means when consumers' income increases or changes generally, the demand for that commodity can expand or contract. And you all know at this level, the demand for, when income increases, the demand for goods that their demand will expand, they are called normal goods. And when income increases, the commodity or the goods that their demand will contract are called inferior goods. So income elasticity of demand measures how demand reacts due to change in the level of income of the consumer. That's income elasticity of demand. And lastly, we have cross. Cross elasticity of demand tends to measure relationship between two variables. That means how the change in how the change in the price of A will affect the demand for B. And that means cross elasticity of demand measures the degree of responsiveness in the demand for commodity A due to change in the price of commodity B. And with respect to this, we will be looking at competitive goods and complementary goods. So, but we're not going to be looking at that today. So, like I did say, our major focus for today will be on price elasticity of demand. Now, Let's let me explain this further before I delve into all this. So price elasticity of demand are major focus for today. So measures how the demand for a commodity changes due to change in the price of the commodity. So don't forget, price quantity demanded relationship is negative. You will always have a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded, ceteris paribus, all things being equal. But in exceptional cases, no negative sign. That's abnormal demand situation. That means you'll be having a positive relationship between price and quantity demanded. So now, with respect to price elasticity of demand, how is it being measured? To measure price elasticity of demand, we have this price elasticity of demand. We are looking at what will be the percentage change in price that will lead to a particular or a specific change in the quantity demanded. So to measure price elasticity of demand, we have percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. And I'll take that again. Price elasticity of demand is measured or expressed as percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So this percentage change in price is the independent variable. An independent variable determines the dependent variable, which is percentage change in quantity demanded. So any change in price will lead to change in the quantity demanded. So this formula, which is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price, has been summarized to this. So price elasticity of demand equals constant negative sign into bracket change in quantity over change in price dot old price over old quantity. Let me take that again. Price elasticity of demand, the formula now, which we are going to be using in solving questions that relates to price elasticity of demand, is expressed as percentage change in quantity demand, percentage change in quantity, that's change in quantity over change in price, dot old price over old quantity. Now, something you need to know here. How do you get change in Q? Change simply means the difference between the new and the old. If you want to get change in two variables, that's new minus old with respect to quantity. And with respect to price, the same thing. That's the new price minus the old price. For this new quantity minus old quantity, this new price minus old price. And the old price will always be given. That's the base year price, the previous year price. And the old quantity you will always be given. That's the previous or base year quantity. So that's with respect to the formula we're going to be using with respect to solving questions that relates to price elasticity of demand. Now, same on still on price elasticity of demand. We have types of price elasticity of demand, basically five. We have unitary, we have fairly elastic, fairly inelastic, perfectly elastic, and perfectly inelastic. There are five. Price elasticity of demand has five types of elasticity of demand. So when we say elasticity of demand for price is unitary, we mean the elastic coefficient is equal to 1, is equal to 1. And that means a percentage change in price, a percentage change in price brings about a percentage change in quantity demanded. That means, what that means in practice is that if, let's say, a 5% change, a 5% change in price will bring about a 5% change in the quantity demanded. So 5 divided by 5, that gives you 1. So unitary means the price elasticity of demand for that commodity is equal to 1. Fairly elastic. Fairly elastic explains that a percentage change in price brings about a greater change in the quantity demanded for that commodity. That means if price changes by, let's say, 5%, quantity demanded for that commodity will change by, let's say, 10% or 15% or 20%. So going by that, if you divide 10 or 15 divided by 5, you'll be getting 3 or 2. So that is greater than 1. 2 is greater than 1. So the elastic coefficient for fairly elastic is uh, uh, greater than 1, but less than infinity. Greater than 1, but less than infinity. That's the elastic coefficient for fairly elastic. So like I did say, a percentage change in price, let's say 5% change, will bring about 10% or 15% change in the quantity demanded. And the quantity demanded percentage divided by the price percentage will give you price elastic coefficient, which is greater than 1, but it's usually less than infinity. That means it has a specific amount that you'll be getting. Fairly inelastic. Fairly inelastic, the elastic coefficient is greater than 0, but less than 1. And in reality, what that means is that a percentage change in price brings about little change in the quantity demanded for that commodity. So in reality, we mean uh, uh, a 5% change in price brings about a 2% change in the quantity demanded for that product. So when you have 2 divided by 5, you'll be getting 0.4 or thereabouts. So 0.4 is greater than 0, but less than 1. So that's for fairly inelastic. So the elastic coefficient for fairly inelastic is, I'm repeating, greater than 0, but less than 1. Perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic. The elastic coefficient is infinity. And with respect to this, the price doesn't change because this is the elastic coefficient for a perfect market. A perfect market is a market where there exist many buyers and many sellers. And in a perfect market, there is usually a single market ruling price that every seller will have to sell their products and every buyer will have to buy the products. So basically, in a perfect market, the prices of goods and services are usually determined by the forces of demand and supply. And when that happens, that means when the prices of goods and services are determined by the forces of demand and supply, then a single market price will exist. So that's basically what you have. So here, there is nothing like discounts. Even though you buy 1 million units of a commodity, uh, uh, you're not going to be given discounts. If you happen to be a seller in these markets and you kind of increase your price by a little bit, your quantity, the quantity that you'll be selling as a seller or as a producer might reduce to 0. So here, the price is constant. And the demand curve for perfectly elastic is parallel to the x-axis. It's parallel to the x-axis. And the elastic coefficient is infinity. This is the infinity sign. I hope everyone can see infinity sign. And lastly, we have perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic means that the demand for that commodity is constant. That means the quantity demanded for that commodity is constant, while different prices are charged on a fixed quantity of a commodity. So this perfectly inelastic usually gives birth to a particular concept called price discrimination. So price discrimination is selling a fixed quantity of a commodity at a different price. And it is one of the characteristics of a pure monopolist, whereby, let's say, for example, Dangote PLC cement, Dangote cement. That cement, there is a fixed quantity of it in the bag. And in different places in the part of Nigeria, that fixed bag of cement is sold for different prices at different locations to different consumers. So let's say here in Lagos, part of the outskirts of Lagos, let's say Alagbadu now, the bag of cement for that's that of Dangote could be sold for, let's say, 4,400. But in Banana Island, the same bag of cement may be sold for 8,000 naira or 10,000 naira because Dangote is a monopolist. It can practice or employ the concept of price discrimination to maximize producer surplus. We call it producer surplus. So that's basically perfectly inelastic. The elastic coefficient is equal to 0, and the demand curve for a perfectly inelastic demand is parallel to the y-axis. And like I did say, another good example of this product, which we could have its elastic coefficient to be perfectly inelastic, could be, let's say, insulin. Insulin is a drug for a diabetic. The quantity demanded for that insulin will be constant. Why? That is being sold at different market price by different producers or pharmacy. So that's with respect to that. So these are the types of price elasticity of demand that we have. Now, just a reminder that in our subsequent video, we are going to be doing a diagrammatical representation of each and the explanation, the enormous explanation that is attached to these types of price elasticity of demand for each. So this is just a tip of the iceberg, the explanation on this which I've given now. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be doing a full video on these types of price elasticity of demand with respect to the diagrammatical representation and all that. Now, why did I delve into this? Because I have a question here which you are going to solve. Now, in solving this question, it requires that you interpret the results for each product here. That's why I've gone over all this. So, solving this question requires that you interpret the results. That means the results for each product. So, this is question 1. Shall we? Let's solve. So, products, we have 3 products, E, C, and O. So we have for E, this is price, new price, old price, quantity for E, old, new price, new quantity, old quantity. For C, we have the same. For O, we have the same. So the question requires you to calculate the price elasticity coefficient for products E, C, and O and interpret your results. So the formula we are going to be using in solving this question has been stated here. So constant negative sign into bracket change in Q over change in P dots old price over old quantity. So let's begin. Let's start with that of products E. Shall we? So for product E, let's have the board divided. So for product E, we have to get all these variables here. Then we slot them in and get our price elasticity coefficient for each product. So product E now, let's get change in quantity. So change in quantity that's new minus old. If you want to get change in quantity, that's new minus old. That's new quantity minus old quantity. So new quantity minus old quantity, that gives us 200 minus 100. So that gives us 100 units. 100 units. Let's get change in price. Change in price. Change in price. So change in price is given as 12 minus 20. So $12 minus $20. That gives us negative $8. That's what we have. Then we have to get the old price, which is the base year price. So old price is given as, here, we have it to be $20. Then we have our old quantity, which is given as 100 units. 100 units. So I haven't gotten all these variables. Let's slot them into this formula and get our price elastic coefficient. So don't forget, So price elasticity of demand for product E equals constant negative minus, don't forget, constant negative minus into brackets. Then we have change in Q, which we've got in here as 100. 100 over negative 8. This dot will change to times. Then you have old price is given as 20. We have 20. Then we have 100. So we have this. So what do you have? This times this, that gives you 1,200, 1,200 divided by 1,800. So what do you have? 4 here, 3, 4 here. Okay, 6, 0, 0 cancel 0. So you don't have to really, cancel. You can just press a calculator and get your answer. So it's 1 2 divided by 1 8 because I do not want to use calculator. That's why I'm trying to cut and reduce it to the lowest number. So 6 here, 2, 2, 6 here, 3. So 2 divided by 3, that gives us 0.6. To 2 decimal places now, we have 0.67. So that's the price elastic coefficient for product E. The price elastic coefficient for product E is 0.67, which is greater than 0 but less than 1. It's greater than 0 but less than 1. So to interpret it now, since it is greater than 0 but less than 1, then we come here. Which of the type of price elastic coefficient? So we have greater than 0, that's fairly inelastic. So we put it in brackets, that's fairly inelastic. Fairly inelastic, that's what we have. It's fairly inelastic because it is greater than 0 but less than 1. So that's with respect to product E. So let's solve for product C. Product C. So product C, let's get the change in Q. Change in Q is given as new minus old for C now. These are the information that relates to C. So 100 minus 400, that gives us minus 300. Don't forget, the negative sign here will cancel out. So you'll be having a positive absolute value here. So let's continue. So we have, for change in price, we have, so this is units. Don't forget to put that, very important. So change in price, we have 30 minus 25. So we have 30 minus 25, and that gives us $5. Then we have old price to be, old price is given as $25, and old quantity is given as, is the old quantity, that's 400 units. 400 units. So I haven't gotten all these variables. Let's put them in brackets and get our price elastic coefficient for product C. So we have constant minus, we have negative 300 over, we have 5 times 25 over, we have 400. So this is what we have. So minus, we cancel out minus. Then what do we have? 0 cancel 0 here. 5 here 1, 5 here 5. So 3 times 5, that gives us 15. 15, 1 times 4, that gives us 4. So 15 divided by 4, that gives us 3.75, I guess. So 3.75, that's in 12, 3, we have, okay, yeah, 3.75. So this is the price elastic coefficient for products C in question. So how do we interpret this? Because we have to interpret each result for each product. So how do we interpret this? Then we come in. Which elastic coefficient is greater than 1 but less than infinity? So here, it's fairly elastic. So we have here, it's fairly elastic, fairly elastic, fairly elastic because it is greater than 1. You can see 3.75 is greater than 1, but less than 0. So that's with respect to product C. So let's move to the last one, which is product O. So product O now. So let's get the change in Q. Change in Q is 300 minus 350. 300 minus 350. That gives us minus negative 50. Then change in price. Change in price is given. So 20 minus 20. The price doesn't change. So 20 minus 20. That gives us $0. So old price. Old price. Don't forget, we're going to be using this formula. Old price is given as 20, and old quantity is given as that's 350. Old price is given as, put the dollar, very important. Old quantity is given as 350 units. Then I haven't gotten the variable. Let's put everything in the formula and get our price elastic coefficient for product O. So the constant negative minus into minus 50 over, we have 0 times, we have old price to be $20 into bracket 350. Then we do the multiplication. That's 0, that's 2,000. Okay, sorry. That should be 2 times 5, that's 10, that's 1,000. Then we have this negative, we cancel out this. Then we have 0 times 35, that gives us 0. 50 times 20 gives us 1,000. 0 times this gives us 0. So 1,000 divided by 0. What do you think the answer would be? If you press a calculator, you're going to be having a math error. Math error means the number of zeros you can get to 1,000 is limitless. It doesn't have a end. So the answer for that is infinity because it has no limit. Then we call it infinity. This is the sign, the infinity sign. So how do you interpret this? Since it is infinity, so you come here, it's perfectly elastic because the price doesn't change in a perfectly elastic demand. It's a single market price. No seller or buyer is so big enough to influence the price in a perfectly elastic market or in a perfect market. So the price is always fixed by the forces of demand and supply. So the interpretation here is perfectly elastic because the price elastic coefficient is infinity. And what that means is that there is a fixed market price in a perfectly competitive market. So that's with respect to the solution to the question. So you need to get better at what you do, and that's basically by you practicing. So when you practice, you will get better and better more at what you do. So the homework is this. So you calculate the price elastic coefficient for products USA. Some of you are going to be like, oh, it's United States of America. No, it's United States of Alagbado. So USA, you calculate the price elastic coefficient and interpret your results. So you interpret it just like I've done here. So be it is unitary, fairly elastic, fairly inelastic, perfectly elastic, and perfectly inelastic. You interpret it based on any. So do this, and let's have your comments on the comment section. If truly you get the if truly the elastic coefficients are one of these. Do you understand? So that's basically for today's episode. So our subsequent episode will is going to be on the diagrammatical representation of the types of price elasticity of demand and the explanation attached to each type of price elasticity of demand. So at this point, I want to say big thanks to everyone for your precious time. Without you being there, we won't be here. So keep supporting us, share our videos to friends, invite a friend to come, have a nodding acquaintance of what we're doing here. Perhaps he also can, refer us to his friends and relatives. Click the subscribe bell so that each time we put out a video, that will come straight directly to your smartphone, and ring the notification bell because you all want to be the first to get a new video when it comes out. So by ringing the bell, that's will make our new video come straight directly to your smartphones, your gadgets, whatever gadgets you use. So what more can I say? I will see you on my next video. Do have a good one. Bye bye.